The film opens with a quiet kind of chaos, the type that creeps in slowly before exploding into something uncontrollable. A storm brews over an endless stretch of ocean, and right in the middle of it all is a small private aircraft struggling to stay airborne. Inside, tension fills the cabin as fear silently spreads between passengers. Among them is a woman who seems calm on the surface, but her eyes reveal something deeper, something already broken long before the storm began. When the crash finally happens, it is sudden, violent, and disorienting. There is no heroic build-up, no dramatic goodbye, just raw impact and silence that follows. The camera lingers just long enough to make it uncomfortable, and then the story truly begins. Rachel McAdams delivers a performance that feels stripped down to its core. There is no glamour here, no polished heroism. Instead, she gives us a character who feels painfully human, someone thrown into a situation where survival is not just physical but deeply psychological. Waking up on a deserted island, her first moments are filled with confusion and denial. The wreckage scattered around her becomes a haunting reminder that whatever life she had before is gone. Sam Raimi directs this story with a twisted sense of restraint. Known for his high-energy style, he takes a different approach here, allowing silence and isolation to do most of the work. The island itself becomes a character, unpredictable and unforgiving. It is not just a place of survival but a place that forces confrontation with inner demons. As days pass, the film slowly builds tension through repetition and subtle changes. The routine of survival becomes almost hypnotic. Gathering food, searching for water, attempting to create signals for rescue. Each task feels heavier than the last. What makes it compelling is how the film refuses to romanticize survival. There is no sudden transformation into a perfect survivor. Instead, there are mistakes, failures, and moments of complete emotional collapse. The brilliance of Rachel McAdams shines through in these quieter moments. Her expressions carry the weight of the story. A simple glance at the horizon can convey hope, desperation, and resignation all at once. There is a scene where she tries to light a fire for the first time, and it becomes a turning point. Not because she succeeds immediately, but because of how long she struggles, how real it feels. When the fire finally sparks, it is not triumphant. It is exhausting. Sam Raimi injects his signature psychological edge as the story progresses. The isolation begins to blur reality. Sounds in the distance, shadows moving in the trees, and fleeting glimpses of things that may or may not be there. The audience is never fully sure what is real, and that uncertainty becomes one of the film's strongest elements. There is a particularly haunting sequence where the character begins to talk to herself, not out of madness but out of necessity. It starts small, almost practical, but slowly evolves into full conversations. This is where the film explores loneliness in its purest form. It is not loud or dramatic, but quiet and suffocating. The pacing may feel slow to some, but it is intentional. Every moment is designed to make the viewer feel the passage of time. Days turn into weeks, and the physical toll becomes visible. Cuts and bruises, sunburn, exhaustion. The transformation is gradual and believable, never exaggerated. One of the most impressive aspects of the film is how it handles memory. Flashbacks are used sparingly but effectively. They are not just there to provide backstory but to contrast the present. The life she once had feels distant, almost unreal compared to the harsh reality of the island. These moments add emotional depth without disrupting the flow of the narrative. The cinematography plays a crucial role in immersing the audience. Wide shots emphasize isolation, making the character appear small against the vast landscape. Close-ups, on the other hand, pull us into her mental state. The combination creates a balance between external survival and internal struggle. As the story moves forward, the line between survival and surrender becomes thinner. There are moments where hope seems completely lost, and yet, something keeps her going. It is not always clear what that something is. Sometimes it feels like instinct, other times like stubbornness, and occasionally like something deeper that even she cannot fully understand. Sam Raimi's direction becomes more intense in the later stages. The psychological elements take center stage, creating sequences that are both visually striking and emotionally unsettling. The island no longer feels like just a physical challenge but a reflection of the character's mind. The climax does not rely on action or spectacle. Instead, it builds through emotional tension. A final attempt at escape becomes less about success and more about choice, whether to keep fighting or to let go. The way this moment is handled is both subtle and powerful, leaving a lasting impact. Rachel McAdams delivers one of her most compelling performances here. It is not flashy or attention-seeking but deeply immersive. She carries the entire film with minimal dialogue, relying on expression and physicality to tell the story. In the end, the film leaves the audience with more questions than answers, but that is part of its strength. It is not about providing closure but about exploring the experience of survival in its rawest form. The emotional journey lingers long after the credits roll. This is not a typical survival thriller. It is slower, quieter, and far more introspective. Sam Raimi crafts a story that feels both intimate and unsettling, while Rachel McAdams anchors it with a performance that is as vulnerable as it is powerful. For viewers expecting fast-paced action, this may not be the film they anticipate, but for those willing to embrace its deliberate pace and psychological depth, it offers something far more memorable. A haunting exploration of isolation, resilience, and the fragile line between reality and the mind. The film ultimately succeeds not because of what happens, but because of how it makes you feel, and that feeling stays with you long after the screen fades to black.